This is Julien, and I'm here in Berlin, Germany. And what we're going to crack into in this video here is a segment from Transformation Mastery Live, where I reveal the 3 core principles when it comes to letting go and realizing inner abundance. You see, due to the way that we're conditioned, most of us feel incomplete. We feel like there's something missing inside, this void that we need to fill. And we go on chasing approval, chasing control, chasing security, changing the external, hoping that in turn it'll affect the internal and finally make us whole, finally make us fulfilled, happy, abundance, you name it. Yet none of this works. Why? Because most people aren't taught these 3 core principles. This is what's at the core of my teachings. This is what changed everything for me. And in this video, I reveal it all to you. So sit back, pay very close attention, get ready for your life to change in ways you cannot imagine, and enjoy. If you ask yourself, why is it that you're doing X, Y, Z? Why is it that you're here? Why is it that you're working on this or that, or trying to accomplish this goal or that goal? In the end, it always comes down to feeling a certain state of abundance within. That's why you do everything that you do. It's like, well, I'm going to accomplish this goal. Why? A certain way. I'm going to do this to feel a certain way. I'm going to, get a lot of money to feel a certain way. We're all trying to feel a certain state of abundance within. Why? Because due to the way that we've been conditioned, we all feel incomplete, not whole, not good enough, etc., etc. Like there's something missing within. We just cannot be with ourselves. Now, the approach that we take is we try to change this experience. We try to feel abundance within by focusing on the external, by focusing on our life situation. We try to make more money. We travel more, get friends, relationships, approval, access to cool things, so on and so forth. Okay, this is the route that the entire world takes, thinking that this eventually will change how we feel at a core deep down inside. Does this work? Yes or no? No. Can money buy you happiness? Yes or no? No. Yes. Because it can buy transformation mastery. Now, no, it doesn't. This doesn't work, and I assume you've reached a point where you get this. That's why you're here. You're like, I've tried everything. What does money do? It simply allows you to fuel your goal. That's what it does. What is money? It allows you to reach your goal. If your goal is to, say, numb yourself or escape yourself, money will allow you to do more things to numb yourself and escape yourself. That's all it does. If you're broke and you feel horrible, you'll drink cheap vodka. If you're rich and you feel horrible, you'll drink expensive vodka. If you're broke and you feel horrible, you'll play a PlayStation game. If you're rich and you feel horrible, you'll go travel on a yacht somewhere. But guess what? You still feel horrible. It's just, I have more resources to numb myself, more resources to escape myself, more resources to distract myself, to medicate myself. That's all that money does. Okay, so this doesn't work. Now, you might realize this, and then you go a little deeper. And this is the traditional self-help or even spiritual crowd, where it's like, okay, I guess it's not the external, circumstances. Let's work on my personality directly, right? Let's read a lot of books, gather a lot of knowledge, attend a bunch of events, think positive thoughts, positive affirmations. Maybe that'll work someday. Yet, even this doesn't affect that core experience of you. Okay, why? Because this comes first. This is at the cause. This affects that and affects that. And that's why nothing that we do ever truly works. We think that by focusing on the effects, we'll get to the cause. No, you must start here. You've probably heard me say this before. Abundance is the starting point, not the goal. And this is what I mean when I always say, get to the cause. That's the approach we're going to be doing here. Get to the cause. Focus on this directly. And when you do, everything else changes. There's a famous saying I'm sure you've heard before that goes, wherever you go, there you are. It doesn't matter what you do out here, it's still you experiencing it. It doesn't matter what you do on your personality in terms of positive thoughts and books, it's still the same you experiencing it. And that's why it doesn't work. And people spend their entire lives focusing on the wrong things, fiddling around with the effects, hoping that eventually it will get to the cause. Okay? Now, in terms of the things that we really, really focus on to try to change that experience that is us, there are three of them. There is approval, control, security. In the spiritual world, these are known as the three core wants or needs, the things that we crave. I call these the three false gods that we worship, right? We don't feel too good. Let me worship the God of approval. Maybe if I get enough approval, I'll finally feel whole within. Approval, validation, recognition, acceptance. Think about it. You can audit your life. What are all the things you do for approval? Dressing a certain way, acting a certain way, living your life a certain way. How does this run you? How are you a slave to approval? The approval of my parents, I'm going to do this. The approval of society, I'm going to do this. The approval of my friends, the approval of strangers, I'm going to do this, live like this, be like this. And we think that we'll reach a point where when we get enough, we'll have made it. So this is why everyone wants to be famous. There's a big craving to be famous. Why? Because you think that if you're famous, and enough people know you and know who you are and approve of you, it's like you have this huge reservoir of approval. It's like, well, that's the max, right? If all the world approves of me, then perhaps if I get a little bit of disapproval, it won't affect me so much because I have such a reservoir of approval. And perhaps if the whole world approves of me, maybe that means I can finally approve of myself. Okay, but that doesn't work, right? The more you invest and worship this false god of approval, the more you are also affected by disapproval. So in reality, having this huge reservoir, that one little person who disapproves of you will hurt you a lot more than not having it to begin with. Okay? And beyond that too, if you think of the effects of fame, what does it really do? It just puts you in front of a lot of people. And society is not very nice to someone who they deem as famous. It's like, oh, they can take it. You'll see it in tabloids all the time. Different celebrities, like the horrible things they say about them. And it's like, yeah, they're celebrities. You know, even you read that, you're like, oh yeah, screw that person, whatever. They're a celeb, they have it all. They can handle. Okay, so this doesn't work. Why do we worship approval so much? It really comes down to, again, the way we were raised, right? We're conditioned to believe that approval is our oxygen to survive. Why? Because when you're born and you're a child, can you survive on your own? Yes or no? No, you depend on whoever's raising you to provide you with shelter, food, so on and so forth. Now, the way we interpret things as a child with a very limited perspective on the world, on life, is whenever we're disapproved of, we're like, oh, I'm not loved right now. Oh, my parents are punishing me. They don't love me at this moment. If they don't love me, they could abandon me. If they abandon me because I can't survive on my own, I die. So we're chasing this. It's like oxygen, must need approval, and it runs us even today into our adult lives. Okay, so this is key, and you will try to seek approval, validation, so on and so forth, either in a wide way, where it's like, get as many people to like me as possible, or in a deeper way, where it's just getting one person to really love you and devote everything that they have to you. People will take different approaches. Okay, but this is one of the ways that we try to affect that core, and it doesn't work. Okay, the next way is control. We're like, well, perhaps if I'm able to control everything in the world, other people, all the different outcomes in my life, maybe I can just finally feel at ease and make everything always just go my way, and I'll feel good and abundant and complete and whole. Does that work? No. Okay. The more you try to control things or control the world, on one hand, there's massive just denseness that comes with this, like the paranoia, like gotta control everything, control everything, control everything. And there's a deep assumption that life is against you, right? If I don't control everything, if I don't meddle with life, life will get me. And the more you try to control life, the more you're assuming that life is out to get you, right? Beyond that, you know that we live in a world of duality, and there's a certain pendulum swing that happens. Nothing's permanent. Everything's always changing, daytime, nighttime, for example. And by trying to control things, you're going against the flow of life. And you will always be disappointed. You're hanging on to certain things, and as life is changing, it just tears you up inside. And in the end, the things you're trying to control the most, what happens? They end up controlling you. So this doesn't work either. Now, quick audit. Who here would say that they're more on the false god of approval worshiping side? Raise your hand. What about the control side? Who here worships the false god of control? Interesting. Okay. You'll learn a lot about yourself. You can even, I do this in the morning. I listen to a morning meditation that I created. I listen to my own voice. I know how that sounds. And I'll go through this. I'll think about the day ahead, and I'm like, okay, where around today am I hanging on to approval? Is there any part of me that's like, ooh, what if this happens? What about that person? What if this person sees me? What if I get disapproved of? What if I don't get that validation, that recognition, that acceptance? And I'll do an audit. Then I'll also think about control. What about today am I trying to control? Trying to even control myself. Trying to control, how people perceive me. What do I really need to happen? And, I'm resisting this. I don't want that to happen. Okay. And then here, security. Technically, this is the one that really runs these two. We all want to be safe, whole, secure. We try to seek security in the outside world, right? If I have enough money, I'll be safe and secure. Nothing will ever happen to me. If I have enough approval, enough control, I just want to be safe and secure. Now, here's the big thing. There is no such thing as being safe and secure in this world. Right? Everything's always changing. There's that pendulum swing. And guess what? We all die. We're all trying so hard to survive, yet none of us survive. What are you really seeking? You're not seeking safety and security out there. Even if you figured it out in the outside world, life would be just so bland. It'd be so flat. If you could just predict every outcome, it's like, okay, well, there we go. It's like living on God mode in a video game. We all think it sounds great. If you suck at a video game, you're like, if I could just have the God mode, it'd be the best game ever. But then after like maybe a few minutes of in God mode, you're like, this is kind of boring now. Right? What are you really seeking? Safety and security within. Another example of how this comes first and runs us is if you think about, say, different emotional states you might be stuck in. Someone who's stuck in a state of fear, that's going to color their surroundings. You might be sitting here like, are people judging me? Did I wear the right thing? What are people going to think? If you're in a state of anger, you might be sitting here like, is the AC cold enough? Is it too hot? I don't know is this chair comfortable enough? It colors your experience. We all live in these different pockets, these different realities that is run by this. I'm sure you've also seen, perhaps yourself, say you're someone who's just very mad. You go on vacation and you delay it. Maybe you're like, a new environment. But eventually, wherever you go, there you are. And you start getting mad about things on the vacation. This 5-star hotel didn't look as good as the pictures. Right? So the effects never get to the cause. You must attack this directly. That is the first thing. Get to the cause. Okay? And let go of worshiping these 3 false gods. The second key thing to understand is what I call questioning the assumption. So, you might understand this. Okay, I get it, Julian. If I get to the cause, I'll step into a new experience of myself, a new experience of the world. It's going to be great. Let's do that, right? I don't feel too good. What are we going to do to get me up here where I do feel good? I'm not good enough. I want to be good enough. I don't feel whole. I want to feel whole. I don't feel very confident, happy, secure within. I want to feel happy and secure. Let's do it. But this approach does not work. Okay? Why? Because the more you're trying to say, become enough, at the same time you are telling yourself that you are not good enough to begin with. Only someone who believes they are not good enough is trying to become enough. Only someone who believes at a core that they are not confident is trying to become confident. Only someone who's not happy is trying to become happy. The more you're trying to become happy, the more you're telling yourself, I'm not happy, must become happy, I'm not happy. And it's endless. You cannot get there that way. Now, an approach, unfortunately, that some people take is they give up on this. They realize, I guess it doesn't work. Here's what I'm going to do instead. I'm not good enough. How can I bring down to my I have low self-esteem. How can I bring other people's self-esteem down to my level so then I feel at ease and in sync with the world? And I do feel good enough because we all feel horrible. Screw that. So this is a lot better than the alternative, but it doesn't work. Question the assumption. What does that mean? Why do you assume by default that you aren't good enough? Why do you assume that by default you aren't confident? What if you actually are? What if you've bought into a lie? What if different things might have conditioned you to believe in this lie? And instead of reinforcing this lie by acting from it, question it, and perhaps the way there is to let go of all the things that are keeping this lie alive. And that is the approach we're taking here. This is why you hear me talk about letting go so much. What if you are enough? What are all the things that are telling you, I'm not good enough to begin with? Past trauma is an example. The way you've been conditioned, different things you've suppressed or repressed, different core beliefs, core assumptions, the core identity you've unconsciously taken on. All those things keep it alive. And it's important here to also understand the idea of different paradigms or different maps, right? It's like, think of it, I talk about this a lot. Think of a video game. Here's the character in the game. Here's the controller, here's the player playing the game. This character, it's like assuming that you are the character. It's the same thing. This character, does the character's self-worth increase the more experience you get, the more missions you do? Yes or no? Yes. It becomes a better character. As you level up, the character becomes better. What about the player? No. Yes. This is what we're all craving inside. Yet we're trying to find the player in the video game. We're telling ourselves, I'm the character. How can I find and be the player? How can I go to this perspective? You can't. It's different realities, different paradigms. Trying to become enough is like trying to count until infinity. Can you do it? No. But that's what we're doing. We're trying to find the infinite in the finite. And that's why this approach doesn't work. Now, does this mean give up on money and goals? Of course not. What did I say before? Abundance is the starting point. From that, play the game. Go accomplish different goals. Go level up. But don't let that affect who you are and how you feel at a core. Okay? So it's letting go of everything that's keeping this lie that's telling you, I am the character, alive. Letting go of all that and realizing that you are enough to begin with. Inner abundance, that complete sense of safety, security, feeling whole, whatever you want to call it, can't depend on anything. You could say core abundance or even core confidence cannot depend on anything. There can't be any conditions or requirements. If this depends on something, it means that you're down here without that thing. Right? If you need something to be confident, you're not confident by default. Even if it's thinking something or feeling a certain way. No, it can't depend on anything. And this is why I keep talking about letting go, letting go, letting go. That's the second thing. So get to the cause, question the assumption. And number 3, understanding this, is realizing that there are 2 worlds inside of you. There's a world that you're aware of and a world that you aren't aware of. You could say conscious, subconscious, or you could call this your shadow. And consciously, there might be some things where you're like, okay, I kind of get this. Get to the cause, question the assumption, and you might address, okay, there's a couple things I can focus on that I'm aware of, and you just say, okay, well, then I'm going to let go of my self-worth. Okay, it's a lie. But nothing really changes because there's still parts of you, subconsciously, that are hanging on to it. A lot of the things that have convinced you and that are keeping that lie alive are buried deep down in your subconscious. And there are layers and layers and layers of resistance to ever becoming aware of it. There's this famous saying in the self-help world. There's what you know. There's what you know you don't know. But then there's what you don't know you don't know. That is the gold. All those things where, you might grow up and something traumatic happened to you. You're like, oh, that experience is not me. Or you get yelled at. You're like, okay, this part of me is not me. We create this split within us. And we lock it out. It's like as far out of our awareness as possible, throw away the key and live our lives that way. We're all conditioned this way. I'm only good enough when I'm getting approval, receiving love. There's the acceptable part of me and the unacceptable me. That split, of course, you're not going to feel whole. So that is keeping that assumption alive. Becoming aware of this is the first big challenge when it comes to this work. You must first become aware of it to then let go of it. And then you got to ask yourself, how can I become aware of what I don't know? And that's what we're going to be doing here, going through different processes, bringing this up, because this depends on you. You all have unique lives, unique experiences, unique perspectives. You experience things differently, interpreted and stored different things. You grew up in different places, different conditioning. So that's the first part of this event. We're going to be bringing a lot of this up into our awareness in order to then let go of it. Okay, get to the cause, question the assumption. There are two worlds in you. This is where the gold is. Another way to bring your awareness to these two worlds is ask yourself, when's the last time you just sat down in silence with you and did nothing? My guess is almost never, or very rarely. Why? Because as soon as you're sitting in silence, here you're aware of me in this event, but as soon as you're in silence, you start becoming aware of parts of this inner world, right? And the self-talk that's affected by this starts seeping in. You're sitting here quietly and it's like, hey, remember how ugly you are? Right? It'll say the worst things. It's like, hey, remember that thing that happened when you were a kid and you got bullied? That felt pretty bad, right? Remember how, look at you here in your life, you haven't accomplished your goals, you think it's ever going to change? It's like the worst friend. And it'll say the worst things, like, you should just have never been born. You are a pathetic human being, etc., etc., etc. That is in the background. And what do? We just live our lives in a way where we're ignoring that all the time. You get home, it's like, quickly, music, something, distraction, TV, just not to be with myself. Okay? But until you address that, nothing's going to change. Of course you're not going to feel good. Become aware of this to let go of it. It's not necessarily comfortable to become aware of this. We're conditioned to believe that transformation is all happy and positive. No. It's becoming aware of those things that you disowned, that you've been resisting for your entire life, to then process them.